And please stop calling in about banks, all right? We've done it. We hate them. You hate them. That's very much obvious. We're moving on.
We're still talking about it.
I know. Everybody is,
Woo!
because it's a bloody scandal. Anyway, we're talking about violent toddlers in this part. Are Britons under 5 specifically becoming more aggressive? The latest stats suggest they are. 4,000 kids under 5 were suspended from nurseries. That's last year alone, up 10% on 3 years ago. These little pint-sized deviants have been accused of everything from chair throwing and fighting to verbal abuse and attacks on teaching staff, which all sounds pretty grim, although thinking about a 5-year-old hitting an adult, I don't know. But is the picture as shocking as it appears? As a non-breeder, I find it hard to believe that little bairns today are any better or worse than they were 10 years ago or even 100 years ago. But leaders of teaching unions are convinced they are going bad, and they blame parents, or a lack of parenting, for the change. If mums and dads don't lay down the boundaries at home, this will lead directly to tantrums at nursery school. That's their argument. Could it be, though, that tots are simply aping their parents? Statistics tell us adults are more violent these days, so why not their sprogs? Or could it be, I hate to say this, but could it be today's teachers are simply less tolerant of bad behaviour and are too quick to expel or exclude, or whatever the Orwellian term is for sending kids home these days, for relatively minor misdemeanours? What might have been labelled rough and tumble play when I was at school, perhaps now is viewed as intolerable and worthy of rustication. Chinese burns, dead legs and wedgies, they're all part and parcel of being a kid though, aren't they, Carol?
I used to get a few wedgies, God. Wait, that's a wedgie!
She said wistfully. No, it isn't. That's a Chinese
pulled up by your
burn.
pants.
What's that when
Under
they get
Chinese
your wrist
burn.
and you go,
That's a Chinese burn.
Although, as we say now, a burn from someone of Oriental persuasion,
Yeah,
all right? Let's not...
Well, I used to get lots of them. But you see, I don't think teachers are less tolerant. I think they've been forced to be incredibly tolerant by...
Can we start with the kids? Do you think they're more violent than they were?
Completely, yes, I do. Absolutely. Okay. I think you just have to walk through a street and you see little kids of 4 and 5 now are cheeky, they're unruly, they're running...
Were they not always cheeky?
No. They might have been cheeky, but I think kids are they're just much more likely to hit you now, and I think this is the direct result of lack of discipline at home. I think it's the teachers are hidebound; they're not allowed to discipline. I was terrified of my teachers. I didn't, yes, I misbehaved, but not in the way I would have done had I had a free rein. But more importantly, maybe it's something to do with the fact now that if a kid gets a smack at school, like when I used to get me Chinese burns and me whatever wedgies, I'm sure I got one.
You'd remember it, Carol.
I'd go home, and if I got one off another kid, my dad would say, "Well, learn to fight your own battles." If I got a smack off a teacher, my dad would give me another one. So but maybe now it's teachers are ringing the school when a kid gets hurt and saying, I want this kid punished, I want this kid suspended. So maybe it's parents not accepting that their kids or to fight their own battles, and they're demanding the suspension of other kids.
I see. So child comes home with a bruise,
and the parent
says,
rings up
I
and
was
says,
hit by little Johnny. The parents go on the phone, I want little Johnny.
So the teachers in the school have to be seen to react to this. And maybe that accounts for the suspensions. In my day, it didn't happen. If my mum rang up to complain about me getting a smack, well, she never would. My mum used to think I deserved to get if I got a smack off somebody, I deserved it.
Okay. Scott, do you get the feeling that children are more violent, more aggressive today than they were?
I think their parents aren't violent enough. My mom broke a brush over my head when I was 5, and I'll never forget it. She was really angry at me, and she smacked me in the head with a brush, and I never mouthed off to her.
That, of course, would now be illegal in this country.
I guess. She locked me alone in a closet for 3 days. So I lived on my own.
Shut up!
I did.
Shut
Scott,
up!
you came out of that closet quick enough, though, didn't you? When you came out, boy, you really came out.
I didn't complain about it in Austrian either. I think people...
Until now.
I think...
Naughty.
You also said your mother was a cocaine dealer, too.
She was. Thank God for me, because I was a cocaine user, which was wrong. Which was wrong. But the point I'm making is that I think that people need to fight their own battles with their own families. Sure. I mean, if your child is being abused at school in some way, then, teach your kid to mouth off better. Or teach your kid to stay away from those kids. Or teach your kid lessons they can use.
Don't you think that there's an element as well of teachers now are not allowed to give a kid a clip round the ear? And therefore, I think that the only solution is that they send them home. I think the kid gets to know, I can't get one of those off a teacher anymore.
You nearly got me there.
That was close, wasn't it? We nearly lost it.
I don't know about the primary schools, but I certainly know at secondary level that children, I've certainly, because I know somebody who's recently was excluded for a week, And I was thinking it was for making the kind of coffee bean signal, but you know the one, the old coffee bean signal, similar to that.
Yes.
And
that was hard for you to do.
yeah, it was. Anyway, and relative, you know, I would not have been sent home from school for that. 14.
Right.
No, I wouldn't have been sent home for a week for that. You'd have been detention, or a teacher would have had a quiet word. And I do think maybe there's slightly less tolerance. I don't know. Let's throw it open to you. What do you have to say? Do you think kids today, specifically under 5s, are more violent than any generation previously? Amy?
OK, we're going to start with Jill from Surrey first on line 1.
Morning, Jill.
Morning.
Let's start from the beginning. Do you think kids today are more violent?
I don't know about more violent, but I certainly think they don't have as much respect for adults as I did when I was younger. I mean, I've got a 2.5-year-old and an 8-year-old, and I wouldn't dare have spoken to my parents the way my 8-year-old speaks to me.
Then tell me why, Jill. Why do they talk to you like that?
Well, I just don't think... I mean, my 8-year-old, she's not allowed to get away with murder, believe me, and neither is my 2.5-year-old. But I think parents are more scared now to tell their children off because of certain things. No, I'm not saying that you're allowed to smack your children.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I do smack my children, but I do think there's not as much discipline there now. And children are allowed to get away with a lot more than they were allowed to get away with previously. And as far as teachers are concerned, I know that I wouldn't dare speak to my teachers the way that a lot of children speak to them now. And it does start at a very young age with toddlers. My little boy goes to nursery and, you know, it's hard to say he shows respect, but he does know that the lady who's in charge is in charge, and he does what he's told by the lady that's there. And if he doesn't, then I expect her to tell him off.
OK, and the other kids at the nursery, they also respect the teacher? She's in charge?
I mean, I don't know, because I'm not there in the day, but I know that she does seem to have a lot of control. It's only a very small nursery, and she does seem to have that kind of control.
OK, Jill, you think it's the parents, and so you're in line with the teachers' leaders. Thank you. Let's have another.
OK, we've got Patricia on line 2.
Patricia, good morning.
Good morning, Matthew.
Let's start again. The basic question, are kids today more violent?
Well, some of these children could have a condition called ADD, and a lot of it could have something to do with their diet. You know, there's a lot of these out there, because I know that I have a daughter who has got ADD, and she would, you know, have a behaviour issues, and that could be stemming from a condition, you know.
Yeah.
And then a lot of it has to do with children get too much of their own way, and they get too much Christmas presents, birthday presents, and, you know, they try to be better than everybody else, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, I'm totally with you, and you're quite right. ADHD, ADD, those are problems that have a bearing. Thank you for that.
OK, we've got Jackie from Hertfordshire on line 3.
Jackie, good morning.
Oh, hello.
So, are kids more violent?
Absolutely. My little girl goes to a nursery, and you expect, she's 3 now, the incident happened when she was 2. You expect rough and tumble when they go to nursery.
Yeah.
No one's complaining about the odd bruise and scratch. Absolutely, that's what they're learning. But when a little girl is dragged along the carpet, gets a very severe carpet burn, and a little boy jumps on her arm 3 times, I think there's something wrong. When you complain to the nursery and they're told that the little boy, the child's parents have no parental control and have no boundaries, I just think parents are paying for people to bring up their children these days. It's very difficult, you know, but I do think it's awful for the child to be labelled as a problem, because if they're labelled as a problem at 2, you're just thinking, you know, what's going to happen when they go into primary school and they go on to secondary school.
It becomes a self-fulfilling...
I don't know what the answer is, but I do think it's parental control.
So, I just want to explore this. So, no parental control at home, does that mean the children are more violent, though, or just that they've not been brought up correctly?
Well, it depends what your definition is, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know, violence at home, parental control, perhaps parents let their children get away with murder, time is sensitive, they may be working, you know, I know, you know, from personal experience, husbands working out all day, the last thing they want to do when they come home is tell the child off.
Well, I have to say, Jackie, I thought you said something very profound when you said that there is a trend today for parents to let other people raise their children.
Yes, absolutely.
I really do. Thank you for the call.
You know, kids have a lot more access to violence now. They see it on the telly, they see it in computers, they see it at home. They see, you stamp on someone's arm, they don't really realise how much they hurt, but they see it on the telly, so they think it's okay.
And those little monsters are eating a lot of sugar.
Yeah.
And they're monsters. I think they should all be taken to an island.
No.
We should start over. Let's admit defeat, right? It's done. They're monsters. They have screwdrivers. They'll kill you, those little ones. They will. I'm afraid to walk home at night with money after a gig through my park. These little tiny things running around with little screwdrivers. They're horrifying.
Oh, dear. Jackie, thank you for the last call, and thank you to this man here. That's the panel part of today's show, done and dusted. I wish we had another hour. I really haven't laughed much for ages. Dr. Miriam's still to come, Scott. Absolutely fantastic to see you again after all this time as well. And Scott Capura goes deep with the tour. London's Leicester Square Theatre next Friday, Saturday. Yeah. And thereafter, there's some other dates as well coming through. You can find them on the web very easally. David, Carol, I've had an absolutely fantastic week in your company this week. It's half the day I was off. Great to have you here. Give it up for our wonderful panel. Brilliant, Scott.